The movie begins with the Anishet Cave, where two archaeologists, a professor, and his son Simon, are joined by a soldier leader, Sergeant. After an investigation, they find numerous written words in an ancient language on the wall. In their exploration, they stumble across a prophetic message related to the Sucker of Souls monster. Upon hearing the message, the professor is shocked, but the sergeant laughs it off. The professor rushes to gather more equipment and tools for further investigation, leaving Simon alone to continue exploring. As he delves deeper, he hears a voice echoing from the depths of the cave. Confused by the sound, he tries to explore further. However, as he peers into the darkness, he catches sight of a humanoid monster lurking above. Startled, he hastens back to the professor and the sergeant. But in his hurry, he stumbles and collapses onto the ground. Suddenly, the monster emerges from the shadows, swiftly lunging at him, sinking its sharp teeth into his neck. The sergeant readies his weapon to shoot, but Simon is in his way, preventing him from firing at the monster in the shocking moment. The monster, fueled by drinking Simon's blood, grows bigger and more aggressive. It transforms its hand into a sword, stabs Simon, and kills him. The blood covers the monster, and it begins to grow even bigger than before. The sergeant, in a panic, starts shooting at the monster to kill it. However, to his shock, the monster is not harmed by his weapon. With no other choice, they run to the room where the rest of the crew and soldiers were. In their rush to get to safety, the sergeant calls the soldiers in the next room to prepare their guns as they come in their direction, with the monster following closely behind. Despite their hurried escape, they don't get far. They enter a large room as fear and uncertainty grip them. Suddenly, the monster appears in front of them. With no way to run, the sergeant resumes shooting at the monster, but its remarkable regenerative ability prevents it from succumbing to the gunfire. The sergeant tries everything to save his and the professor's life, but despite his efforts, the creature captures him. But in his last moment, the sergeant springs into action to fight. He grabs his knife to protect himself, but in their shock, the creature starts speaking in an ancient language. The sergeant asks the professor what it is saying, and the professor explains that it claims to be a warrior, and desires the blood of warriors to drink. The sergeant, using all his strength, tries to defend himself, but as he strikes the monster's mouth with his knife, the blade breaks, leaving the monster free to devour him alive. But as the creature is about to deliver a fatal blow, it suddenly spots a small cat. Upon seeing the cat, the monster freezes with fear. This confuses the professor and the sergeant. The cat approaches the monster, and sensing the cat, the creature releases the sergeant. As the monster starts to move back, the sergeant, in shock, asks the professor for an explanation. The professor explains that the creature is scared of cats. The sergeant quickly grabs the cat and intimidates the creature with it. Frightened by the cat, the creature runs off into the darkness. Using the opportunity, they hastily rush down a darkened tunnel, and finally arrive at the outer soldiers, where they immediately close the door to prevent the monster from getting in. Inside, the sergeant explains the soldiers about the situation. Then the sergeant turns to ask the professor what the monster is. The professor explains to them that the monster is the great Dracula, a bloodthirsty monster. The crew was shocked to learn that Dracula was real, but faced with the grim reality, they understood they had no choice but to confront it. The soldiers quickly assessed their limited arsenal. They had only a small amount of weapons, ammunition, and one C4 explosive. However, the professor informs them that these weapons and explosives are not sufficient to kill Dracula. He explains that Dracula is an ancient evil capable of decimating entire armies, having slaughtered thousands of people throughout history. As he recounts the tale, the door is suddenly hit by Dracula, who was attempting to break in. The soldiers swiftly prepare their weapons, springing into action. With urgency, the sergeant orders the professor to search for another way out while they hold off the monster. The professor rushes to retrieve the blueprints of the building, hoping to find an alternative escape route from their current location. He discovers a hidden pathway leading to another large room. With determination, he hurries to the concealed door, breaking through the wall to reveal a hidden pathway leading to another large room. However, the monster is on the verge of destroying the door, almost breaking in. With no other choice, they open the door and begin firing at the creature, unleashing a barrage of bullets upon it, causing significant damage. Quickly, they close the door and rush to the hidden tunnel. However, the monster swiftly recovers, healing its wounds, and with anger, it rushes to the room, breaking down the door and entering. Inside, as he searches for them with intent to kill, he catches a glimpse of a blinking red light nearby. Realizing it's C4, he is immediately engulfed in a massive explosion, burning him alive and killing him instantly. The soldiers rejoice at having defeated the monster and making it out alive. However, in their shock, they realize that the explosion was so powerful that it reaches them. But miraculously, they survive. As they emerge unharmed, the sergeant queries the professor about the room's significance. The professor reveals it to be a sealed prison entrance. Illuminating the area, they inadvertently intrude into a chamber teeming with vampires, surrounded by numerous Draculas. Stirred from their deep slumber, the creatures pounce on them, swiftly ending their lives. The curtain falls,